Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hey, Megan. Hey, MK. Hey, Jesse. Oh, Hood News in the house. Okay, I like that. Awesome. Please jump into the chat. Let us know where you're joining from. We're really excited to host you guys today. All right, as everyone else kind of trickles in, I'll go ahead and get started. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope that you all enjoyed your St. Patty's Day festivities. Welcome to our social media show and tell webinar series, where the Dooley team dives deep into the ever-evolving social media space to help you all stay at the top of your game. So, in case we have not met, my name is Matthew Dooley, and I'm the partner and CEO at Dooley, which is an award-winning social media studio right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I'm joining you live here from Hyde Park, our office in Hyde Park. We have just an incredible team, and our entire focus is delivering real impact for relational brands across the country, from Gold Star and the Christ Hospital to Visit Cincy, the Marzetti Company, and Joyco. And I'm thrilled to feature one of those teammates, Stephany Mendia. She is our trends and culture lead at Dooley, and she's delivering a very special edition of our BloomScroll series, of her BloomScroll series, focused on the creator economy, which is very fitting because we have a very large, awesome event coming up in May, on May 14th, called CreatorCon. I would love if you jumped in the chat. Let us know if you're joining as an attendee, speaker, panelist, even if you're just excited. Maybe you don't have your ticket yet, but I will guarantee you one of you is going to be there, because we're going to give away a free ticket. If you stay to the end, we're going to draw one person's name to get a free ticket to CreatorCon, which is a $225 value. So super excited. And without further ado, let me pass it over to Steph, who is going to talk to us about best in class principles in the creator economy. So take it away, Steph.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to be back with you for another edition of Bloom Scroll, the opposite of doom scrolling, where we're talking all things of the latest in social. Today, we're talking creator marketing. Before we jump in there, I have a really exciting announcement that we have an upcoming CreatorCon panel in April with our amazing Stella Crosty on our team. She's a content creator here at Dooley. She's amazing. She's intelligent. She knows all of the things. And she's going to be talking live with a lot of local creators about leveraging diverse creators for your campaigns. And so you do not want to miss this. This is the first time we're doing this, April 10th at 12 p.m. at Spark House. And so please let me know in the chat if you're planning to attend. I will be there. I cannot wait to hear what Stella and the people that she has lined up have to say. It's going to be amazing. So please make sure that you save your calendar for that. And of course, like Matthew just said, we have CreatorCon coming up. This is our second annual CreatorCon, and it's bigger and better this year than ever before. We're so excited. And like he said, one of you is going to be able to win a ticket today. So please stay to the end to find out if you're the winner. Jumping in, I'm Stephany, the trends and culture lead here at Dooley. And I wanted to kind of tell you all a little bit more about myself. But since I'm the trends and culture lead, I wanted to use a trend to do it. And my favorite one lately has been the comparison between 2016 and 2026. So I'm going to show you all a little bit about myself and take you down memory lane. So 2016, I had a dream of making social storytelling my job. So I was still a year away from graduating college. I had done a couple internships, but I was really starting to see that brands were telling amazing personal stories online in a way that I don't think had ever been done before. And I knew I wanted to be a part of it. Here's a little picture I took at the macaroon bar. I was taking pictures everywhere because I was like, somehow this is going to help me make that dream come true. I was experimenting with Snapchat filters like everybody else. I had a very deep side part, and you could not find me without the flower filter or the puppy filter, and purple hair. And I was also making fashion content for an online internship. I was getting my boyfriend, then my then boyfriend, now husband, to put on outfits. I fell prey to these felt hats that I think we all were wearing in 2016. Let me know in the chat if you were part of the felt hat community, because I definitely was. So yeah, this is where I was 10 years ago. So looking forward to 2026, now I have 8 years of experience in social storytelling. I've built my career helping brands tell authentic stories, helping them connect with their audience. And it's been amazing. I'm so grateful for this experience. And I have now worked with the most amazing award-winning content team here at Dooley. So every day we wake up, we make amazing content. We do work that we are very, very proud of for the brands that we have the honor of partnering with. And I create style content with my husband, my then boyfriend, now husband, over on Stam Style. And so, little plug for us. If you don't follow us on Stam Style, please go check it out. It's all about personal styling. So, 2016 to 2026 for me, it's a big glow up. So let's talk about 2016 versus 2026 for creators, because I think this is an even bigger glow up. So 2016, brands were just starting to lean into the power of creators. I think at this point, Tarte had had their very first Tripping with Tarte trip, and it was revolutionary. No one had ever seen anything like it. And I think a lot of legacy brands were looking around to be like, why are they doing this? They're investing all this money. I believe they went to like Bora Bora. It was crazy. But brands were just now starting to lean into the power of creators. And creators were the faces of products, but they were existing products. If you look down here at the bottom image, we have Patrick Starr, Kathleen Lights, and Manny MUA. If you were like an OG YouTube person, I bet that you know these faces. And here they are promoting a product for benefit. I think it was like the Cheekathon palette, and this already existed. So they did not innovate on anything. I don't even think that they actually were held accountable to like creating content for this. They were just faces that were kind of slapped all over Sephora as brands were trying to experiment of like, okay, how do we tap into this? And creators were treated like this a lot, like an ad placement. So brands were looking at these people who had millions of followers, who were gathering so many eyeballs, and they were just saying, I want to get my product there. Like, it doesn't matter what they say, it doesn't matter who they are. I just want to be visible to their audience. And because of this, followers were the metric of success. You guys will remember when the way Instagram links used to work is like you had to have like what 10,000 followers to be able to swipe up on an Instagram story, and everyone was like going for that metric. So it was a big deal, right? YouTube started sending out those like creator play buttons for each milestone that you hit. This was the metric that we knew. And influencer marketing became a breakout term on Google Trends. So, like I said, people were starting to take note of what was happening in the creator space, and they had no idea how to harness it. Now we're flashing forward 10 years, and it looks wildly different. Let's go back. These are static images. Over here, I'm like screen grabbing from videos. Things have drastically changed in this space. Creators are now pillars of a marketing strategy. If you're a brand marketer in here with me today, I bet you do not talk about a campaign without talking about what creators you're going to include in your campaign. And creators are the faces of products that they've helped develop. So over here on the right, you will see Tony Bravo, who is a beautiful creator who Rhode enlisted, so Hailey Bieber's brand Rhode enlisted her to help them redevelop their blushes to work on people with darker skin tones. And she became the face of that campaign, along with another creator who we'll talk about later today. So they're now the faces of products that they've helped develop. They are no longer just being slapped on whatever product, and they signal authenticity. So if you're a brand and you're looking for how I'm perceived as authentic, most likely you're looking to creators to do that for you. That's why we have, someone like Alex Earl, even though she's a massive creator, she loves Poppy, and she's formed a really deep relationship with them. And a creator can be anyone who can build and harness the trust of an audience. So it used to be all about followers. Now we are literally looking to anyone who people will listen, who will think are worth giving their attention to. In a world that is fighting for our attention, if you can harness it, you're a creator. So I think it's amazing to see the shift. It feels like a whole new world. And even as it has developed and even as we've built processes around it, this is still something that's evolving. So I'm excited to jump into this today, because if you're looking at 2016 to 2026, I think one thing is really clear, and that is that the days of renting influence are over. You can no longer say, ooh, that person has a million followers. I would like to borrow those eyeballs. You can no longer say, okay, they're doing a vlog. I want to borrow 10 seconds of that vlog and just put my product out there. That's not working. Audiences are savvy. They know how these partnerships work because of the transparency that these creators have had with their audiences. And so now it's all about authenticity. It's all about collaboration. It's all about creating things that cut through the noise. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's dive into it. How do we cut through the noise? Number one, this is for my marketers, connect your objectives to your creators. A lot of times we get excited about someone and we go, okay, I want that person in this campaign. Here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. Do not start with who, start with why. Why are we talking about creators? If this is part of your strategy, that means that your creators have to fit into your marketing funnel. We're back to the funnel. It never goes away. We're still talking about awareness. We're still talking about conversions. We're still talking about building loyalty. So that means creators have to fit into your marketing funnel. So I want you to ask yourself, why are you bringing creators into your campaign or into your strategy? You need to up your awareness. You need to educate people on a product. You need to earn trust. If you talk to anyone who works in paid social ads, they're going to tell you these are three very different objectives. And so that means when you answer these questions, that should inform who you're choosing to begin your campaign. So the creators you choose need to be in direct connection to your objectives. And here's why. If your goal is building awareness, macro and mega creators, we're talking people who have hundreds of thousands, millions of followers, they are going to give you access to a huge audience very, very quickly. That is what they're known for, right? Over here on the right, you see Drew Offawalo, who started on TikTok. She's now become a huge personality. She is a red carpet interviewer. She has 2 podcasts. She was the first book published under Questlove's publishing house, like massive personality. And her audience is people who love to see people roasted online. And they also love her relationship with her fiance. It seems like they have a healthy dynamic. People really like them. And so when NYX decided they needed a face for their new complexion range, and it's all about finding the perfect match, they reached out to Drew and her perfect match, her fiance, to be the face of this campaign. And this included social posts. This included a actual commercial. It's included billboards. She has given them access to her huge audience very, very quickly. Now, also, creators can help pull brands into cultural moments. So we experienced this at Dooley with the partnership that we were able to have through Marzetti with Trey Kennedy. So Trey is an online comedian. He does stand-up, he does skits. He's all around funny guy. And he has a character of like kind of the basic mom. And we knew Marzetti was already the #1 caramel. We know that people love Marzetti caramel, but we wanted them to really associate that with fall. If you think fall and sweaters and scarves and pumpkin patch, Marzetti caramel should be in that list. And so rather than try and like force that on our end where it might have felt inauthentic, we enlisted Trey. He came up with this amazing skit of like the mom who was so excited for fall. She's so excited for sweater weather. And Marzetti caramel fit right into that skit. It was funny, it was authentic, and it pulled Marzetti into that fall conversation without them having to actually say anything. Now, of course, we did say things. We have a whole campaign built around Marzetti for fall. But Trey was a really, really big pinpoint in that campaign, and it was successful. So success here is quantified by reach and by impressions. It's all about eyeballs and who we got in front of, which is amazing. I will say, in my experience over the last 8 years, brands love this. This at this point feels familiar. We know this works. It's the next one that people have a harder time swallowing. And that is that if your goal is building credibility, smaller creators is actually where it's at. So smaller creators are perceived as more relatable, more trustworthy. I love this stat over here that consumers trust recommendations from individuals like friends and family members over brands. And I know that the people I follow are not my friends and family members, but they look like them and they feel like them and they're honest like them. And so I am way more likely to trust someone who I know is probably getting paid less to say something great about a brand. They're just simply viewed as more trustworthy nowadays. And a lot of times this feels less exciting to people of like, I want to work with that big person. But if you're a marketer, I really want to challenge you. You may not be working with one big person, but the opportunity now is to tell a wider story by working with many creators at once. Where you might have had the budget for one big creator, you could have the budget for 5, 10, 15, you know, more of the nano, micro, mid-tier creators. And now you're making a bigger splash and you're telling stories in a variety of places. So it's really exciting when you think about it like that. And here's like the number one thing is that smaller creators deliver stronger engagement. We know this across the board. You're going to see these macro and mega creators bring in an engagement rate of less than 1% versus nano, micro, mid-tier. It's more in like the 2.7. And honestly, in our experience, we've seen it go even bigger. So they're delivering stronger engagements. And this matters. It's not eyeballs, but here's what it is. It's an opportunity for you as the brand to get in the comments with those engagements, to get in the DMs. And now you have the opportunity to interact directly with potential new customers. So this is exciting. It's a great way to build credibility. And I really think this is like the way that things are going. We know that across the board in the industry, more and more brands are starting to rely on way more smaller creators and building campaigns this way than the old way of like finding the biggest person and letting them do one video. And my pro tip, if you're a creator in the chat, we love you. If you fall in this nano to mid-tier range, this is your opportunity to rely on those meaningful insights. We call them meaningful engagement. So your engagement rate, the shares, the comments, these are the metrics that you can use to communicate your value to brands. You can say, okay, I might not have 1 million followers. People are listening to what I say. They're actively engaging with me. And that is something that we as marketers cannot get anywhere else. So I want to encourage you all, arm yourself with these metrics. Our next one, treat your creators like partners, not placements. I can already hear the creators in the chat going like, yes, she said it. So treat your creators like partners, not ad placements. Creators hold the attention of a brand's desired audience. They know what the fans want to see. This is what the fans want to see. Creators know the formats, the tones, the storytelling that resonate with the people who come and listen to them on a daily basis. If you have ever sat in a brainstorming session, a lot of it is just trying to figure out like, is that joke going to land? Will people like that? Will people get that? Creators have the answer to that for their audience. They're armed with that. So when we come in as marketers and we say, well, I want you to say this exactly like I wrote it, exactly how I brainstormed it in this meeting, just know that that overly scripted content has the potential to break the trust that they have probably worked years to build. Years. And here's the thing. Now that partnership is not beneficial for either of us. So as marketers, it's really in our best interest to trust the creators and trust what they've built. Because the strongest content is not dictated, it is co-created. We're working on this together. So as we have built our creator process here at Dooley, something that we have really taken to is that over an objective or over a brief, we're bringing an objective. We're not saying like, here are the points I want you to make. It's this, this, and this. We're saying, this is our goal. We're working with a client. They have this thing. Here's the story we're trying to tell. How do you think that we should tell that story together? And we're also bringing ideas over a script. So rather than saying, again, these are the points I want you to make, these are the exact claims I need you to say into the mic, we're saying, hey, we love your content. We've noticed that you make a running video every day. We think that this can fit in here, but what do you think? What are your ideas? And now we're having a dialogue, brand and creator, to decide what is the best way to go about telling this story. And we see over and over and over again that this is the most impactful way to do this. Our amazing Gold Star ambassadors create the most creative content, like music videos and bedazzling pens and all of these amazing things, because they are coming to us to say, I have this idea, and we're just open to it. So creators, my tip to you is do not be afraid to use your top performing content as an example of the trust that you've built. You've created this platform, you've worked really hard for it. Do not be afraid to say, hey, I know my voice, I know my audience. And if we're going into this partnership, I would love to like build trust with you so that you can see that. Because real collaboration, it doesn't look like the overly scripted, overly briefed content. It looks like being open to those creator-led ideas. We need to trust creators to speak in their own voice. And here's my thing, back to brand marketers. If that content is not living on your feed, if someone is posting it directly to their page, all of the guidelines and the like tricky red tape that you have spent time navigating, you can be free of it when you enlist creators, right? This is not someone who works for you as an employee. This is someone who is working with you. So now you have a little bit more space, a little bit more leeway to push the boundaries, to make a joke you might not have made on your main page, to use language that you may not have used on your own. It's not to your brand voice, but bringing someone else in to make that content can really be freeing in that way. Building long-term partnerships. So I feel like this is low-hanging fruit for a lot of brands. If you like working with someone, why would we not want to go back and work with them again? I think at Dooley, we love the partnerships that we've built with creators. And when we have an opportunity, like we are going back to the same people who we know are going to produce amazing results and we have a great relationship with. So repeated collaboration, it builds familiarity. Audiences want to know, like, this was not a one-off thing, that you really love this brand, you really love this product. And the more we see it, the more we can start to believe it. And creating shared value. So this is where together, brands and creators, I want us to think beyond the exchange of content. And I want us to think about what can we tap into together? Is it creating an ambassador program? Something that I love is when we have an idea here at Dooley and we go, okay, we have these 3 people who we know are in, we a lot of times can go back to those creators and say, who do you know? Who do you like? Who do you work with on the creator side that you think would be a good fit for us? And now we're finding more people to work with. So we want to tap into those ambassador programs to expand that reach. And then looking at co-created products. So what can we do together that we can put your name on, that we can put your face on, that is authentic and real, that's going to land with our audiences? And I think a really great example of this is my queen, the queen of cleaning, Vanessa Amaro. So let me know in the chat if you guys are familiar with Vanessa. I think she's amazing, but she got her start in 2020. She downloaded TikTok. Vanessa is she's an entrepreneur. She's a business owner. She cleans houses with her husband. And she had a very long wait list of people who wanted her to clean her home. So she started creating videos to show here's my process. Here's how I clean a shower. Here's how, I clean the ceiling fans. And it was very clear from the beginning that she was a huge Scrub Daddy fan. All of the 2020 trends that we remember, she was doing them with Scrub Daddy just naturally. It was something that she loved and she was really passionate about. Her followers grew by tens of thousands overnight. So she's now amassed 5.6 million followers. Again, naturally making Scrub Daddy content. So rather than go to her with a brief and say, okay, we're going to really formalize this and we want you to say this, and don't forget to mention that this is our patented product, Scrub Daddy just decided they were going to support and fuel her content. So again, instead of coming with a brief, instead of coming with, okay, we actually want you to create this video, what they did was they supported her with discount codes and products for giveaway, a lot of products for giveaways. And every time that she was just naturally going to make Scrub Daddy content, Now she was armed with the support of the brand. She could give a discount code, she could give away products, she could surprise and delight her audiences. And this partnership was so successful and so effective. First of all, I bought Scrub Daddy because of her, just to be 100% clear. I bought Scrub Daddy products because I saw her videos. So in 2022, they then created Scrub Babies. So these were the same as Scrub Daddies, but they were designed specifically to fit into smaller hands like Vanessa's. So after 2 years of this really strong partnership, they created this product together and it immediately sold out. And then they brought it back and it sold out again. And then they brought it back and it sold out again. People love Vanessa and people, I mean, raise your hand in the chat if you love the Scrub Daddy accounts. I think that what they're doing is amazing on their TikTok specifically. So people loved this collaboration between the two of them. And it was just not it felt authentic. It felt real. People were happy to see this between them. So after after 6 years, this partnership has continued. This is a real woman who cleans real homes. She cleans real messes. And throughout all of that, you will see Scrub Daddy throughout her content creation. Their collaboration of like the Scrub Babies is still available for purchase. And this has been a huge like lift for both of them, for both Vanessa and for Scrub Daddy. So our next one, and coming up on our last one, and this is, if you were on my last webinar, I talked a lot about how authenticity was the word for 2026. I'm going to talk about it again. Authenticity is non-negotiable. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The internet trusts people, not brands. So audiences are looking for recommendations from people who feel real and honest. And this is why I think brands are really starting to go the way of like using smaller creators versus using bigger creators, because I love my big creators. I love Drew Afwalo. But it is interesting as consumers, as viewers of content, when we watch someone go from regular person in a regular house to big mansion in Los Angeles on the red carpet, right? Their life has changed and we celebrate that. That's amazing for them, but it does change how we interact and view them. And it probably changes how they interact and view us. So audiences are looking for recommendations from people who feel real and feel honest. And we know that everyone's vying for our attention, everyone's vying for our dollars. And we know that 86% of consumers say that authenticity is key when they're choosing the brands that they support. So the greatest part about creators is that they don't just repeat our brand messaging, they humanize it. The best creators in the world are also the best storytellers because they're able to humanize these talking points and these claims. And so that is why when we're looking for who do we source our collaborations from, I can already feel someone was like ready to type in the comment, like, okay, well, how do I find these creators, these like authentic, amazing creators that you're talking about? Start with who is already championing you, whether it is your employees, whether it is a mom with 200 followers, whether it is a small creator who just like Vanessa keeps on championing your brand. Look for where it starts organically. And my favorite story about this is like pretty recent. Creator tip. Don't be afraid to reach out to brands that you love talking about. If you have a brand that is naturally just part of your everyday, you know you're going to include it in your content, send them a DM because you've worked really hard to build your platform. And you should use that content that you've created as leverage for you getting to have that opportunity with them. And my favorite example of this is the Staples baddie. Let me know in the chat if you guys are familiar with the Staples baddie. I think that she's amazing. I think she's so funny. I love this content. I cannot get enough of it. If you're not familiar with the Staples baddie, like strap in because she's going to be everywhere. So this is Kaden Rowland. She got hired at Staples 8 months ago. Like for her everyday job, she got hired at Staples 8 months ago. She loves stationery. She loves offers products. She loves a calendar. And so she started talking about Staples on the clock. Like she was in there making her TikTok videos, just saying, oh, did you guys know that we have this and this? she became known for spotlighting these overlooked products. Like, I did not know that I could have Staples make me a custom mug or a custom banner like overnight. So this is what she's been known for. And her content has driven an actual real increase in store traffic and sales lists, notably in like the custom mugs, the print products, all of the things that she's featuring in her videos. Staples is currently seeing a lift in sales in those products. Staples, which is like a legacy brand that was struggling, is seeing a really huge lift just because someone loved their job. It's amazing. And the key takeaway here is that Staples has chosen to engage with her very carefully. They're not getting in the mix. They are not telling her, like, okay, if you're on the clock, then you also need to be doing this. And we need you to talk about it this way. Or can we sneak this in there? They are just letting her make her content. In fact, I think the first official, like, paid partnership collaboration with the Staples baddie was just 4 days ago. So it's insane, but they have done this without disrupting what her audience loves about her. And I bet for Staples, it is probably like, I keep picturing a Staples boardroom where someone like me is trying to explain to other people like what the Staples baddie is. And I just think, as much as it might be difficult to explain, her impact is undeniable. And this is what we're looking for. This is what we want to see. It's amazing. On the other hand, we have fumbles, right? Sometimes you are sitting in a room trying to explain to someone why this matters. So I want you guys to look over here at the right at Miriam, Miri, as she's likes to be known by. So Miri is a Chick-fil-A employee who started posting her videos about like her daily shift meal. And when she wasn't posting about her daily shift meal, she was coming in before work or after work to purchase like all of her favorite products. So here I think it was like the cherry berry line that Chick-fil-A launched, and she bought all of these drinks with her own money. She did taste tests. She talked about her favorite products, and her comment section were full of people being like, I didn't know Chick-fil-A had that. I have a new order. I'm adding that to my order. People were really excited about these products that she was highlighting. And she was regularly hitting like 100, 300K views. I will say this video of the cherry berry, it amassed like 4 million views. So she was definitely influencing people's orders. And suddenly the content stopped. People hadn't heard from Miri in a while. We come to find out that Chick-fil-A corporate had asked her to stop creating content. Someone at Chick-fil-A could not see the vision. And that was fine. She continued her job at Chick-fil-A. She stopped making content for them. But what happened in the end was that Shake Shack saw the opportunity. So they stepped in. They asked Miri if she would partner with them to promote their chicken sandwiches. And if she did, they would then offer a special discount code for anyone who ordered a chicken sandwich from Shake Shack on a Sunday. And this content went crazy. I mean, it felt like almost like Wendy's. Like, the disses that were happening in the Shake Shack comment section were insane. And it amounted into Miri not just doing these videos for Shake Shack, but other brands took a note that everywhere she went, everything that she reviewed, the comments were positive. People loved to hear what she had to say. Her audience loved her personality. And so what happened in the end is that Miri quits her job at Chick-fil-A altogether to be a full-time content creator. Someone else in another boardroom saw the vision. And so this is why I'm saying, look to who is already championing your brand to create something that is special and organic and authentic. Because to relate to you, to feel like you're a real brand, a real person, audiences have to feel seen. So I told you guys we would come back to the Rhode blushes. Over here on the right, we have Gloria. So Gloria and Tony were contacted by Rhode to redesign their blush tones. So Rhode had put out this really big product. It was a really big campaign. And very quickly, creators started to notice this product does not work if you have like a medium to dark skin tone at all. And so rather than just like try and shove that under the rug, Rhode took the challenge and they enlisted these creators to help them produce blushes that worked for their skin tone. And they let them be the face of it. They let them own it completely. And the results were amazing. So people, then that's because people want to connect with who they feel reflects them. This is maybe the most natural, like human thing about any of us, is that we just want to connect with people who we feel that we're seen by. And so when we're talking about diversity, a lot of times it can become something where it's like, okay, we're just trying to check that box visually. But here is where I really want to challenge you guys. Diversity does not just change who tells the story, it changes how the story gets told completely. Because now when we empower creators to bring their full selves into a content, it's magic. It's literally amazing what can happen, because investing in these collaborations, it means that they're setting the example. Oh, I'm sorry. They're setting the example. I'm getting ahead of myself. They're setting the example for how brands show up in a space authentically. So if you've ever sat in a brainstorm and been like, can we say that? Or is this right? Or are we not using the right terms? Like, there's a lot of fear around messing up online, and we don't want to mess up online. We want everyone to feel celebrated. We want everyone to feel cherished. And when we allow creators to lead the way that we as brands show up in these spaces authentically, we are deeply lessening our chances of having a major faux pas. Like, this is why when the Pepsi Kendall Jenner thing happened, people talked about like the right people were not in the room for that conversation. And this is why we want to have diverse creators in the room to help us create this authentic content and to help expand our reach into different communities, and also to signal to different audiences that they're welcome and they're celebrated. Audiences are noticing this. I'm noticing this. If I'm going on someone's Instagram or TikTok and I am seeing the same type of creator over and over and over again, and none of them look like me or talk like me or reflect me, I'm going to assume you do not want my dollars, point blank. And so you cannot expect the consumer base to be diverse if the creators are not diverse. You cannot expect for the campaign to look like the same thing over and over and over again, and then that you're going to get a different result in terms of who the consumers are. So, my creators, please protect your perspective. Push for the ideas that reflect your unique voice and your community. We want to hear it, and the brands that you want to work with want to hear it. And if you find that they don't want to hear it, maybe it's not the right partnership. Please protect your perspective. It is what makes you special. It is what makes you unique. And I think the best collaborations that I've seen, not just from Dooley, but across the board, it have this element to it where someone gets to show up authentically as themselves. Oh, let me get back to my presentation here. Okay. And if you want to hear more about that, again, Stella is having her CreatorCon panel about leveraging diverse creators. She has got some amazing people lined up. I know Sheridan Davenport is going to be there. I love Sheridan's content. So April 10th at 12 p.m., please sign up. There's going to be a link to come. So no link yet, but link to come. We want to see you at Spark House there with us. And then as we continue to talk about diversity and we kind of round this out, I want to give you guys one more example of how this works. So Rare Beauty is Selena Gomez's beauty brand. Selena Gomez is a mega pop star and actress, and she also has lupus. And I think a lot of her health struggles have been really well documented. So if you are familiar with Rare Beauty, you may not know that when Selena designs her products, she is designing them with accessibility in mind. That means that rather than having a cylindrical, concealer tube, it has a flat end so that it doesn't roll off the table and someone's not able to reach it. That a lot of the mechanisms that she uses to open her products have like a soft touch element so that it's more grippy and less difficult for someone who has less mobility in their hands. So when Selena launched her perfume bottle, she designed it with accessibility in mind. What we saw was a larger base, as well as like the nozzle that you use to press down to spray the perfume had this really large like surface area. And the idea here was that this should make it easier for anyone to use it, again, with limited mobility. So they design this product, they launch it, they then gift the product to Sarah Todd Hammer, who is a disability and fashion creator. Sarah is partially paralyzed in her hands and her arms, and she has been for the majority of her life. So they gift this product to Sarah. They say, just make your video. They don't ask her for anything specific. And what ends up happening is that Sarah does a demonstration. She unboxes the product and immediately she can say, hey, this is actually really hard for me to stabilize. Like, I love the design, but it is hard for me to just like put it on the table and use it. And when she's able to figure out how to do that, what Sarah ends up doing is saying that this is the first perfume bottle she's ever been able to spray on by herself in her entire life. And it's a great video. I highly recommend going in to watch it if you haven't seen it before. But this was such a special moment to realize, like, wow, this design gave her access to something that she had never had before. Um, and what happened after this is that content creators across the world were inspired by her review, disabled content creators, able-bodied content creators, and suddenly reviews of this are going viral, no matter who is making them. And everybody, again, disabled creators, able-bodied creators, are talking about the inclusive and thoughtful design, whether it was made for them or not, because diversity is something that lifts all of us up. We only benefit from including more of us. So if you're a brand, I think a lot of times there is this fear of like, well, if I'm talking to one specific person, I'm leaving everybody else out. But I really want to challenge you to switch that thinking. Maybe if you're talking to one specific person, more people can feel celebrated by that. More people can feel welcome to come into that. And it is, to me, one of the best things that has come out of the shift from 2016 to 2026 is seeing the wide breadth of creators from different backgrounds and lifestyles and classes who now get to make content that speaks to somebody. And a lot of times we think, oh, I just reached one person. But what we're seeing is they're reaching hundreds and thousands and millions. So diversity is the final pillar here, because I really want you guys to head to Stella's panel to hear more about how you leverage diverse creators. And I really want you all to come to CreatorCon. So before I let you guys go, I think we have some time for questions. If you have a question, please drop it in the chat. And then while we're waiting, Matthew, I think we also have a link. So if you're here today, there is a discount code for attending for CreatorCon. So if you're interested in coming to CreatorCon, Matthew just dropped the link to that discount code in the chat, and we would love to see you guys there.
Also, Steph, yeah, there's a couple of questions in the Q&A part of Zoom. If you want to head over there, I think you can maybe see those. If you can't, I can read them off.
Yes, could you read them?
Yeah, so the first one comes from Michael Bayshaw over at Children's. He's speaking about authenticity. He says there's a philosophy that Gen Z does not want to be sold to. As a Gen Xer, he says that he thinks they do want to be sold to, but it just looks different to older generations. And it takes the form of influencers who are offering them value through their content. Is that a good way for brand marketers to look at influencers, especially for Gen Z and maybe a little bit of millennial?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you think about Gen Z, we talked about this a lot internally of like, they've kind of broken the marketing funnel a little bit because they've added more steps. So where we would think about like, okay, awareness and then conversion, Gen Z really wants to be pulled into the moment. They want to be part of the culture and part of creating it. And so this is where creators like really come to play, is because they are already engaging with Gen Z. So I think this is a great example of bringing in a creator who has that audience locked in and like really being open to their ideas. They might sound absurd in a boardroom, but they know what works. And a lot of it you'll find, if at the core of it is like coming into a joke together or coming into an event together, or just ways of building community seem to be at the center of like that Gen Z creator marketing.
Love it. Awesome. So we got another one. I don't know who it's from. It's anonymous, but we'll still take it. When you're looking to partner with a creator outside of follower count, what are the other things you evaluate to make sure they're a good fit for your brand?
I'm looking at their engagement. I want to see if people are actually commenting, and then I'm looking at the comments specifically. And if I'm just seeing a lot of like the many chats, like where it's like recipe, 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 I'm interested in that. But I more so want to see people saying like, hey, I tried that. recipe last week and I loved it, and now it's a staple. Or people being like, I took your recommendation for this, and now I'm going to go back to Costco to purchase another one. So I'm looking at what are the comments actually saying, and are people getting in there and like treating this person like a friend, like a blogger kind of back in the day, where they're really taking their recommendations. So I would say engagements is probably the biggest one. And then I'm also looking at like how often are they making content? Because I'm finding if someone is making content, daily or multiple times a week, they are really committed to building their audience. Versus someone who like is posting, once a week or a couple times a month, where maybe their commitment to that audience isn't the same. And I think the audiences can tell and they can feel that. So we're looking for people who post really consistently, who have really strong, meaningful engagements. I'm not as concerned with likes as much as I am concerned with the comments. And I'm also finding people who are really good about doing their Instagram stories. Queen City Lisa, who we've worked with, I love watching her Instagram stories every single day. And people who are really investing in connecting with their audience through that method, I really love to partner with them because I know that they're going to bring their audience with them into whatever they do.
Love that. Yeah, we're all such huge fans of Queen City Lisa here at Dooley. Anyone else have questions they can pop in? I'll take one for you, Steph, if you don't mind me
Yeah, go
continuing
for
to
it.
put you on the hot seat. But from a content standpoint, I think you've alluded to this a little bit. But is there anything else that other creators or brands themselves can learn from content styles that are kind of working now? What can we learn about that?
Yeah, I think we've been talking like video is king for the longest time. And I'm really starting to see things go back into carousels, back into Instagram stories, specifically for creators, back into carousels, back into Instagram stories. Like the recipes or the step by steps that I'm seeing in carousels, I think are really interesting. And I find myself like that's what I'm saving and that's what I'm going back to reference. There are like recipes that I have saved that like I don't have the blog link, but I do have the like carousel saved and I go back to it every time I make something. So I think that's a really important format that I people should consider. I think when we think about how we measure success, a lot of times we feel like, oh, well, that person only got so many impressions, but like the the scroll rate on that carousel could be really, really good, or the save rate on that carousel could be really, really strong. So that's a really good one to consider. And then I think Instagram stories, and I will say on our end, Adelia Laughs is so good about including Instagram stories into the partnerships that she does with brands, where like she's including polls and like answering questions about when she went to the salon. So those are really good ones that I think brands maybe have a harder time on, but creators really succeed in. And then I see one more now.
Oh, great. Yeah, go
From
for it.
MK Hannigan. Is it cringe that a brand talks about their e-commerce store and all the new items that they have curated to bring a better experience to the shopper? No, I don't think so. I think what people want to see is that you're actually excited versus like you're excited to sell to them. So I think when we're just going like new, 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 that can feel really inauthentic. But I think what people want to see is like, here is our web guy who spent 6 months developing this new e-commerce store. And here is the behind the scenes of how our social team decided to launch that for you. So it definitely leaves room for that like flashy new, but people want to see the behind the scenes and people want it to feel like there are people behind the brand. I think that's the most important part.
I'll add something real quick there too, just because I think it's sometimes helpful to think in terms of like categories. So it's something that we always use is content should be educational, entertaining, or relatable. And you can, of course, always sell. We all exist by moving money from someone else's bank account to our account. Like we've got to sell, we got a product, got a brand. But doing so in an educational way, doing so in something that's interesting, entertaining, something that just shows you on screen. That's relatable. Like you're someone who runs that brand. So maybe not get so like product focused, but talk about how you're the steward of that brand. Do you want to take Julia's question too, Steph?
Yes. So yeah, older. So she says, I'm an older individual, and a lot of what I hear is geared towards younger generations. The older generations are feeling neglected. How do you suggest brands be inclusive of older generations? I'm so glad I actually have an answer for this. Do not forget about Facebook text posts. Um, we see such success for the brands that we work with on Facebook text posts as like a way to meaningfully engage with people, to like start conversations, to gather UGC even. So don't forget about Facebook text posts. And I also think like do not forget that with people of older generations, that consistently beating a drum really works. Like finding someone who they connect with and then using that person over and over and over again. Someone that I'm thinking of is brunching with Babs or brunch with Babs on TikTok. She is a woman in her 60s and she makes all of this amazing hosting content, and the brands that I think of are ones that like consistently work with her because she knows how to speak to that audience. So definitely still finding someone who organically can like champion for you. And then, yeah, do not forget about Facebook text posts. They are so powerful, again, as a way of getting UGC and also as a way of starting meaningful conversations.
Love it. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and wrap and then I've just got a few things I wanted to share. But let's hear a huge thank you, maybe some applause, a little celebration for Steph for all the time that she took to show us the way on creator economy best practices. I thought this was incredible. And before you go, I did just want to do like one final plug for Stella's panel on the 10th. I wanted to share and make it clear that we're hosting this in person at Spark House in Covington while we're also streaming it live virtually. So you'll have options to join us in person, which I think will be great. And Spark House is one of the key spaces that we're going to host CreatorCon in May. And so her panel, as Steph alluded to, is of featuring diverse creators on the topic that is just on that. So it's challenges of being a diverse creator in the region, how content is elevated when you support inclusion, why it's important to tell everyone's story, and then brands that we know of that are the most supportive. And so it's going to be a great event. We look forward to seeing you there. The other thing I wanted to draw out too is that CreatorCon is on May 14th, but I wanted to share a few exciting things that are happening. One is it is in a new space. So we're going across the river. It's in Covington. Steph will appreciate that. And it's kind of got a campus feel. So we're going to open up several spots, including Madison Theater. And that allows us to open up the format too. So we're going to have main stage presentations. We're going to have separate tracks for brands versus creators. So think breakouts, workshops, a lot of tactical takeaways, lots of intentional networking as well. We're also going to kick it off right. We're actually going to host a welcome party the night before at Second Story. I don't know if raise your hand if you've ever been there. It's a beautiful bohemian style cocktail lounge that's photogenic and is perfect for networking. And of course, we're going to have a lot of fun activations like custom merch. And fun freebies as we always do. And then finally, stay tuned today for a huge announcement on our socials and on our email with keynote information, like our keynote speakers and then other speakers that we're featuring, including people right here in the Cincy region, but also we're flying in people from all over the country, and it's just going to be incredible. So stay tuned for that. But related to that, now is time for our giveaway. So I've got the wheel of names. If you've been on our webinar, you've seen this before, but I'll click here and the person chosen will win a free ticket to CreatorCon in May. Drum roll, please. Uh-oh, Julia! And not just because you jumped in with a question. So congratulations. That is awesome. We're excited to see you. I hope you were going to attend anyway, but now you get to attend for free. So that's awesome. And so that's it for today. Thank you all for joining. Stay tuned to your inbox for a full recording of this webinar, and we will see you all.